Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we explore the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Milan Kohut, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced, the lessons learned, and the strategies fueling future growth. Today, I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined by Christi Chiarulli, the founder of CC Strategy House and Christi Chiarulli Coaching, where she serves as a business coach and sales strategist for female entrepreneurs. With over 20 years as an industry expert and in HCM, payroll, and HR solutions, including 17 years at USA Payroll, where she led sales teams to exceed monthly revenue goals, she now helps clients build multi-five-figure months with recurring revenue streams while maintaining work-life balance. Her approach emphasizes client-first strategies, team success through communication and critical thinking, and streamlined operations. With that being said, Christi, let me officially welcome you to Founders Future.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here.
It's great to have you on the podcast. I twisted my tongue like 5 times during the introduction. And I think the reason is because I wanted to mention so many things about you. But yeah, Christi, it's great to have you here. This is going to be a cool conversation. There is a lot that I want to cover with you. So we're just going to jump right into all of this. And what I love to do at the beginning of every single one of these episodes is a bit of a time travel first. So before you even launched this current company, what was that journey like for you? And then eventually, what was really the motivation for starting the business?
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, I have been in the business world already for about 20 years, and I had worked with thousands and thousands of business owners on their structure and strategy for their businesses. I had been training salespeople for that long. I had a side coaching business. I had been doing all of these things outside, but most of my work was tied to working for other businesses and corporations in that 20 years. And so I'll tell you the real pivotal moment, because I was a hustler and I was proud of that. Right? This idea of like the hustle. And in the corporate world, I was often always in a boys' room as well. It was like me and 20 dudes everywhere that we went. And I was fine with that. And the schedule and the demand is high when you're a sales leader, especially for a corporation. When I had my daughter, that was really a turning point for me, because all of a sudden I cared about things I didn't care about before, like balance, presence, a calm nervous system. And so I was in a position where, I had worked for a long time to like walk up that corporate ladder and be at the top. And so to swan dive off of it could sometimes feel like a scary thing. But I was in a moment where I was like, I don't want to give up the income that I make, the lifestyle that I live. I don't want to give up all of this knowledge and skill that I've built. I love working with people. I love sales. I'm in love with sales. I think everybody should study sales. And I don't want to give that up. But also, there's something else more important now. This motherhood journey and being present. And that was really where I started deciding I need to do this for myself on my own terms. And I need to build a business that works around my life and doesn't control it. And that was really the pivotal moment.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like many people who actually get into the world of corporate and they stay there for a couple of years, they pretty much never get out. So it's good to see that you were like, okay, well, I can make it happen. Let me just try.
Yeah, it's scary. You're vested. You've got, there's money there. There's all these things. And it's very, I always joke about like when you're younger, if you get into bartending, they're always like, it's very hard to leave bartending because you're getting cash and you're making all this money, but it's a fast lifestyle. And it usually doesn't fit into the one that you might want as an adult when you're having children, or it's very similar. Like, I think corporate, I'm just going to say the thing you maybe shouldn't say. I think it's really much easier gig for a dad, for a man, than it is necessarily for a mom, especially at a higher level where you're managing, I had sales teams across 3 states. So it wasn't, the balance isn't there.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
Now with you, Chris, really stepping into this and treating it as a business opportunity, I'm pretty sure it took some time to gain this kind of clarity, to know what the offer should be, what it should look like, how do you fulfill on all of this. And we're going to talk about where this journey got you overall and what the business looks like today.
Yeah.
So again, to build some clarity for the listeners, who is it exactly that you're looking to serve right now? And also, what are those core offerings or signature offer that you have in place right now?
Yeah. So today I work with women who are already making money in their business, but one of 2 things are happening. They either feel like they're starting over every month. So what they're actually carrying over, their monthly recurring revenue is small, a couple $1,000s, and they feel like they really have to hustle from the first to the 31st to make that nut, whatever that goal income level is for them. So they want to work in a situation where they feel like the month, you can look 6 or 12 months out and your bills are paid, and there's overflow and all of that. So they're either feel like they're starting from scratch or they're doing really well, but they've hit an income ceiling. So let's say that they had this big income goal in mind and they want to do 30,000, 40, whatever they want to do per month, right? They're hitting that goal, but they don't see how without doubling themselves, I would be able to get past that ceiling. Right. So they're usually hitting burnout at that point. They're outside of their leadership. So it's those one or two things. Both are about scaling my business in a way that's sustainable.
Do you have any specific industries that you want to be focused on, or like what is that decision process for you to be like, okay, I'm actually going to work with you or not?
Yeah, so I don't have specific industries. As a matter of fact, the women I work with, I don't think I have any. Oh, I do. I have two divorce coaches, two realtors, but I don't have a lot. Like they're all across the board. There's not a specific industry. For me, it's more about the person. They're not having a growth mindset, wanting to scale the right way. And I personally do have a clarity or explore call with every single client before I bring them on. I won't bring a client on if I don't feel like I can win. If I look at your business model and your ideas of what you want and I can't blow it up, I won't bring you on. And some people are like, oh, and I'm like, I think it's ethical. I think I should be able to believe that, like, yes, I can see this happen. So it's more about the individual person for me.
Yeah, it's about the alignment. I would agree with you. And also, yes, it is ethical.
Yeah.
And also we're looking at it through the lenses of like, at the end of the day, we're talking about your reputation here. So
Mhm.
I know this is, quite easy position to be in, especially for somebody just starting out, where you basically say yes to every single opportunity. Well,
Right.
this somebody who could pay me, but hey, it's going to bite you in the ass. So if you don't see yourself actually delivering the results and seeing those outcomes, you should say no to that. So I 100% agree with you. Now, when it comes to having a good client acquisition system in place is going to be the key here, right? So what I want to do now is look into what is it that you do with your marketing strategy right now to have this ability to continually onboard new and new clients and keep growing the business.
Yeah. So the business, when I started, it does look different today. When I started the business, I was doing one-on-one coaching strictly, because that was very close to what I was familiar with in the outside world for so long. Today, my offer suite looks much different. I have one-to-many offers. I have one-on-one coaching. I have intensives. And I will say that one thing that I had to study that was new for me was online marketing because I am a whiz with outside marketing. That was all, that I had done for 20 some years, trained other people to do. So I really put my head down in studying that. And today, right now, and I'm not saying forever because there's room for change, but everything I do is organic. So what I mean by that is all of the business that I earn today is through marketing on Instagram, marketing online. So it's through reels, carousels, and I sell right in my stories. So it's about build. And one thing I do want you to know, because this is the biggest myth, is that I have clients who are 10 times the size of me, right? They have 100,000 or 200,000 followers. I have less than 4,000 followers and earn 10 times more than them. So it is not about the number of followers that you have, it's about your mastery in conversion. And so that's something that I was able to take my sales and marketing skills from outside, combine that with trying to learn what the online space is attracted to right now, which is ever changing. This is things I teach my clients as well. And 100% of my business is organic. So either it's being sourced through my online marketing or I have a really great referral system. I have a lot of people who my retention rate is 95%. If you sign a contract with me, you have a 95% chance they're going to sign a second one. And that's a really big part of my business model. And they refer. So it is 100% organic. I say it won't be like that forever because I do think there's a great time and place for ads and using ads online. And I certainly will in my business, but I like to scale in a way that feels really sustainable and good. And this is where it is right now.
Yeah, obviously you spend some time just clarifying on what feels nice to you personally. But when it comes to your Instagram profile, though, this is pretty impressive, though. You're saying there's less than 4,000
Yeah.
followers, but you're still able to leverage that kind of exposure to continually onboard new and new clients and make money off of that. So if we look at other people who are maybe listening to this right now and they're not in a position where their social media platforms are profitable, what do you think is the key? What is it that you do differently that allows you to make all of this happen?
Yeah, and I'll tell you one more thing that you might hear is shocking is that over time I've probably deleted about 5 or 600 people because I don't care about the number. I care about the alignment to your point, to what you said earlier, is that are the followers that you have today your dream client? Are
Mm.
these followers people who can actually join your world and invest in all of those things? And everyone else is noise and doesn't need to be there. So I always joke, I'll take 1,000, an account with 1,000 dream followers who can buy from you, than 5,000 who are not. They just followed you off a funny reel or something interesting, but no intention of ever buying. Like the other account is so much more valuable to me. So I think part of that is learning how to speak specifically to your dream audience and get over some of the, like I'm trying to think of how to I say this nicely, but those vanity metrics. I want my reel to do 1 million views. I want 1 million people to comment. Like, that's great. And I will tell you that that's how I started because I thought that was important. I had a summer where every single piece of content I posted did between 1 or 7 million views. I had a lot of bigger businesses reaching out to me asking if I would do that type of content for them. And I did not make a fraction of what I'm making today. And my views today, for anybody who's interested, who does anything online, are anywhere between 300 and 600 on a piece of content, but I convert that into 5 figures all the time, multiple 5 figures. So it is not about going for those vanity metrics, those things that our ego want of like this outside appreciation. It's more about talking specifically to your dream client, understanding what they're thinking, what their needs are, what their desires are, and giving them a place where your Instagram page, for instance, right? This is marketing. They should be going through a journey. Right. So the things that you post should be a journey of, I see you. I know what you're struggling with. Here's the reason I'm the one to help you. Here's my client results, my social proof. So it's really understanding the online marketing world and using your stories as a cash register, which is what I do. That's a cash register of my business. When people are in my stories, they're in line at the store. This is my opportunity to sell them. So I think anybody, whether you have a brick and mortar business, and I have clients with brick and mortar businesses, but they want to utilize the online space to get more clients, or you're fully online, you really need to master those two things and you could change the trajectory of your business.
Yeah, I would agree. It's always been kind of funny to me how many people are chasing that virality and just
Mm,
being like, yeah, but what is the point of those million views? Like, if
right.
nobody's converting, if you haven't made a single penny, then sure, go ahead, repeat, but don't
Yeah.
expect a different outcome.
Yeah.
I think the specificity that you were talking about and having this sort of clarity around who you even want to talk to in the first place would be a game changer for the majority of people, not only in your industry, but also every other industry. So I think without that, it doesn't really matter what you're doing, whether that's organic content like you, whether that's investing into paid ads, whether that's webinars, it doesn't matter. It's just if you don't have the ability to talk to the right people and do it at the right time, there is not going to be any sort of outcome. So I love that you mentioned this. Christy, let me pick your brain on something else. A couple of minutes ago, you mentioned that your idea for the business is always growing organically and very like in a very sustainable way. Now, recently I've been getting into more and more conversations about the the difference between building an empire and just having like so big of an ambition that this needs to keep growing, this needs to keep scaling. But
Yeah.
there's also a lot of people who are intentionally pivoting or starting or getting into businesses with that in mind of like, hey, I want to have a lifestyle business. I want to reach a certain point. If I can maintain that level, I'm going to be happy. Right.
Yeah.
So when it comes to your idea of this business and the possibilities here, would you say that you're in a stage of the company where you just feel like this is the best way for you to go and it might change in a couple of years and you can see yourself building bigger teams and all that comes with it? Or where do you want
Yeah.
to take it?
It's definitely it's not always gonna be like, I think people start out and they're like, I want a $500,000 business. I want $1 million. I want this, I this. And I've worked with women who come to me and say, these are my goals. And what's interesting is the second you get that goal, you move the carrot. It's very unlikely that you sit that way, right? But I think what's important to me is doing it in a way that's sustainable. I am always thinking, I've got a business background. I'm very heavy on strategy. I'm always thinking 5 years out. I don't work in the business the same way I'm working on it, above it, right? So, absolutely, there will be teams and there will be other things later. But here's the thing, I'm very protective of my client experience. And so, what I don't want people to think is if you don't go grow quickly, you can't make a lot of money. That's not true. I make great money and I challenge myself, how else can we? But I'm very protective of that client experience. And I think every scaling decision that I make has to maintain depth and result for my clients. So personally, I have probably invested over $50,000 learning about other coaches and spaces, market research too, right? And what I've seen is that sometimes people do that really quickly. I've been in the room and they hire teams, and now you're being coached by people who aren't as qualified. That's not who you signed up to work with. You're only allowed to submit one question every other week, and you're paying a lot of money for that. And so for me, this has to be done in a way where the integrity of the client and the results that they're getting. Because why do you think I have a resign rate like that? My clients are making money. You know what I mean? And they're making money because we're working together. And so everything will always progress. I'm a go-getter, obviously, right? This is my background, but it's going to progress in two ways. One that keeps the client integrity, and two that keeps me able to pick up my daughter every day from school, which I do. And that's important to me. So that balance is going to be maintained.
Priorities, 100%. Yeah, priorities. Yeah, Christy, let me ask you this question. With all of this in mind, when you look at your goals from a short-term perspective, not 5 years, not 10 years, but maybe just the next couple of months, maybe till the end of this year, what would you say are those biggest targets? Like, what is the actual goal? What is the revenue that you want to generate, the milestones that you have set for yourself?
Yeah, so for me right now, there is some expansion happening in the business, and there's some branding stuff and websites being redone, and some things that are coming out that are really exciting that are going to allow for women to have an even better buyer's journey with me, where they can come in here and they can grow, right? So you meet those goals, and then you get put into, you want to be in rooms where other women are expanding and doing something similar. And so there's a lot of that that's like behind the scenes still that's happening, but before even we're in the third quarter, that stuff will be rolled out. And that's, this is part of when you talk about wanting your business to expand or where are you going next. I think one of the things that I recognize that is sometimes hardest for people is that what you built originally, what got you somewhere, and the strategies and structure you were using is not going to be the same strategy and structure that's going to get you to that next level. And so I really think, for the listeners too, is just you might have put your heart and soul into a business. And certainly, like I had mentioned to you, when I first started, my business structure looked different and how I worked with people looked different. And it was working well. And I think where you think of like, how do people end up in the 1% or what happens is because it's hard to let go of what's working well to create something that works freaking amazing. Do you know what I mean? And so that I think, and I try to lead by example. My clients watch me reinvent and not be scared of, I don't love the term burning it down, but like quote unquote, burning something down to rebuild something bigger. But I'm constantly doing that. I'm not afraid. And I think, most business owners that move quickly are the same way. They're not afraid to take chances or fail. I call that failing forward because that gets us one step closer to goal and it gets us smarter and sharper. And I move quickly in my business. So sometimes we want to hold on to things because we're like, well, it works well enough. It's paying the bills. Like and I'm like, but is this the dream? Is it working the way you want it to? And that's, my business is always undergoing some of that, which was 6 months ago. It's always doing that.
Yeah, you know what? This is a very solid point. I think you always have to stay adaptable and be able to make those pivots. But what happens for the majority of people, if you implement something and you stick out with it for a long time, it becomes familiar. And what's familiar feels nice. It feels
Mhm.
comfortable,
Mhm.
right? So it's just a mental shift that we get into, and it's hard to step out of it because, well, guess what? Any sort of next change is going to be uncomfortable. But when it comes to failing forward, this is a great point though, because the more we can fail, the quicker we learn. So, there is no growth when it comes to being comfortable. So obviously it's going to require
No.
you to step out of that. Great
Yeah.
point. Great
Yeah.
point. Christy, let me ask you this question. Obviously, we're talking about issues for other business owners. This is definitely one of the biggest pitfalls. But I'm also a huge advocate of the fact that it doesn't matter how long you've been running the business, what sort of or amount of experience you have, there is always something that comes up and you have to
Yeah.
face that next. So when it comes to your own business and making this vision of yours a reality, what do you think will be standing in the way, or what might potentially become the biggest challenge of making that happen?
Well, I mean, the two things that I'm always concentrating on and that I'm aware of is where do I need help? I don't know if you've ever read it, but I love the book 10X is Easier Than 2X by Dan Sel. Have you read that book before?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm a big fan of that book and I'm a big fan of like what on my desk can be outsourced because it doesn't need my brain, right? My magic is in coaching. My magic is in scaling businesses, coaching sales strategy, that kind of thing. not necessarily in the paperwork side of it or those things, right? So I have at times brought VAs in for certain things. And I think being hyper aware of like, where am I bleeding time that I should be outsourcing? So truly running the back end of your business and having it structured in a certain way. And I guess the biggest question is, when do you go from part-time to full-time for some of that help, right? Or outsource some of those things. So I'm always aware of that and I'm always keeping that in the forefront. So I don't ever go, did I just spend 6 hours a week? I only want to work 20 hours a week. Did I just spend 6 hours a week doing something that I could have? Because I know, I think a lot of people, when it comes to making investments or outsourcing, and I think this is a big differentiator in a true entrepreneurial mind, people go, well, what is that going to cost me? What's it going to cost me to have someone else do that? Or what's it going to cost me to hire that coach? And my brain is always like, no, there's an if I do it, I'm losing money, right? You have to think about what you make per hour. So for me, it's like, how much money will that investment make me back? How much, what can I do if I outsource those 5 hours? What could I be doing instead that could 10x my income? Right. And so I do this even with having cleaners in my house and things like that. I can clean my house, I'm capable, but what could I do with those 3 hours instead? So I'm always thinking about that with the structure and the behind. And then what we talked about earlier, making sure that the client experience is being preserved no matter what I'm doing to scale. Are they still thrilled? Are they still getting the results they want? Do I still know everybody? I have no desire to step in a room where there's 100 people on screen and I don't know them. That's just not the kind of business I'm running. I want to know the people that I'm working with. I specifically work with women on purpose because we have such common goals and desires and experiences, and I don't want to lose that part of it.
Absolutely. Christy, there is a mountain of wisdom and knowledge that you can share with the audience. So I would highly recommend anybody listening right now to really take a closer look into your work and what you do for your clients. I love that. And I love the conversation. So thank you so much for taking the time today. If anybody would like to take a closer look, what is the best way for them to go about it?
I mean, you can find me right on Christi Chiarulli on Instagram. My name is my handle. It's really easy to find. If you're a woman in business and you feel like you're hitting an income plateau or you're starting over at zero, like, come say hello. I answer my DMs, so you can come say hello. I'd love to chat with you.
Love it. Beautiful. Thank you again. It was a pleasure to have you on here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Now, to our listeners, if today's conversation inspired you as well, make sure to subscribe to Founders Future on your favorite platform. And also, if you're a business owner, more specifically a consultant or a coach, or you have an agency and you're trying to scale the business and really enhance both your sales and marketing efforts, also visit closers.io. Get in touch with our team and discover how exactly we scaled our company from zero to over 30 million per year in less than 3 years. Until then, keep on crushing it, and I'll see you on the next one.